Rowan read the letter from her twin brother Will. He knew she was angry. He understood. He wished he could help. If Will actually understood and wanted to help, he would be here, in this Wheel Drum Tavern with her. Instead, Rowan sits alone, thinking about her response. She was right to be angry. Their world had been turned upside down, and Will wanted to sit at home and wait for answers to just appear. Why was he so afraid of her for not wanting to wait? For wanting to take action? Rowan folds the empty paper and hands it to the courier, and declares her only message for Will was to come find her when he's serious. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Today we continue the Wilds of Eldraine story with Chapter 3. In our previous video, which you can find on your screen now or in the playlist linked in the description, we followed Rowan as she sought answers in the wilds. A dream came to her asking her to return to Castle Ardenvale, though it was destroyed during the Phyrexian invasion, because she was to earn her crown there. In the meantime, a budding new hero named Kellan is hoping to end the Wicked Slumber himself by killing 3 witches. With the aid of some new allies, his journey is off to, as unorthodox as it is, a good start. Now we continue with Wilds of Eldraine Chapter 3, Two Great Banquets, written by Arsenault Rivera. Remember, if you're enjoying the content here, to please support us by leaving this video a like, sharing with friends, dropping a super thanks, and becoming a subscriber. It all goes a long way in helping the channel grow. And now, let's get back to the lore. What awaits Rowan is the remains of Castle Ardenvale, once her home and the seat of the High King and Queen Kenrith, her departed parents. Now a veil of violet mist lay over the hills and valleys, concealing the metal bodies of the fallen Phyrexians beneath. It was they who took everything from her, but now they littered the ground so that Rowan had to take great care where she stepped. Yet Rowan didn't take great care. She blasts a hole in the oaken gates with lightning from her palm and climbs the violet-cloaked stairs. Rowan only takes a few steps before she sees knights. Knights she recognizes, wearing the plate helms and colors of Ardenvale. They stand with weapons ready, the slumber's mist hanging around them. Like a puppeteer pulling the strings, the mists control her comrades. Rowan's former archery instructor loses an arrow that whistles past her head. Rowan readies her blade, battle seeming to be the only option. 2 men she had known attack with an axe and hammer. Pain ignites. Her old headache returns as if summoned. A blast of lightning sends the men flying backwards, and Rowan ducks under another arrow. Her head is ringing, sorrows of a heavy crown, as she advances to meet more old companions, now intent on breaking her bones. She tries her best to not seriously injure them, but at times she needs to let loose other blasts of lightning, whose damage potential to flesh is quite substantial. Each one leaves a bigger crater behind, and each one feels more thrilling. Rowan would like to deny it, but it was easy to lose control. She makes it to the top of the stairs to find more knights, though now they stood under a foreign banner. They wore courtroom finery instead of armor, but held weapons in hands at the ready. A plush violet carpet led Rowan's eyes beyond the knights to a veil of shifting shadow. She expects the knights to attack her, and they do, though not like she expects. Instead of charging, they waltz towards her. Couples part to slash at her and then return to their strange dance. Rowan dodges and blocks, but in doing so, she's pulled into the swirling dance, slumbering knights twirling all around her. Her sword is lifted from her hands, but she cannot move without touching the dancers. The crowd spins her along, but their swords are coming. Rowan knows they are. She has to find a way out, so she grabs for the swaying veil as she passes it. Instead of grasping the veil, a pale white palm presses against her own. The owner of the palm welcomes her to the court of the Ardent Queen. All at once, the dance comes to a halt, the sleepers dropping to their knees. Rowan's partner was a strange and terrible beauty, their face hollowed like a chalice and smoke rising from where their eyes should be. A cruel mouth smiles as they say they've been waiting for her. This strange figure announces themselves as the friend and counselor Rowan has been seeking. They make a gesture, and one of the sleeping knights produces Rowan's sword, offering up on their palms like Rowan had been freshly knighted. The figure squeezes her shoulder and tells Rowan she can take her sword back. Rowan grabs for it, not quite ready to raise it against the figure, but still demands that they let the sleepers go. If they could control the sleepers, they must be the one who cursed Eldraine. Their smile reveals 2 rows of razor-sharp teeth, and they explain that the one who cursed the plane is beyond the veil. Rowan doesn't wait for an invitation and runs for the gauzy veil, but the figure is already there to part it for her. On the other side, Rowan finds a feasting table, a beautiful woman in black at its head. The woman lifts her goblet to Rowan. In the other hand is a glass apple with strands of translucent violet sneaking out. The woman greets her, commenting that Rowan looks just like her mother. Whoever this woman was, she certainly has some nerve. Will and Rowan's mother had nothing to do with them. Their real mother was a cruel witch who had enslaved their father. Once the twins were born, she murdered them, meaning to drink their blood to extend the years of her mortal life. Their father, the late King Kenrith, struck her down before she could complete the process, and the woman who would become their stepmother, Lyndon, restored the children's lives using a magical sword. The twins held no love for their biological mother. Rowan lifts her own sword to bring it down with a mighty swing, but the woman makes no move to stop her. She just sips from her goblet and says she brought Rowan here because she admired the fire within her. What? A knight was prepared to face all manner on the battlefield, but Rowan was never trained against such disarming sincerity. The woman eases the sword from its path, asking what she already knows. Rowan's comrades, her people, even her siblings were afraid of her. Isn't that right? She knows what it's like to have her family turn their backs on her, just like Rowan. She explains that she created the Wicked Slumber to keep her people safe against the Phyrexian invaders. That it spread to others was unfortunate. Even in this misfortune, she has found something beautiful. The woman asks Rowan if she wants to know. Rowan admits that she does, so the woman turns to the figure who sent Rowan through the veil. She calls them Ashiok, and they oblige. A blink, a moment of darkness, then Rowan opens her eyes. Standing at the woman's side are Rowan's parents, beaming with pride. She runs to embrace them, only for them to fade as she closes her arms. Rowan asks the woman if she was the one who sent her first vision, bidding her to come to Castle Ardenvale. The woman confirms that she did, but with the help of her mentor, this Ashiok figure. The vision told Rowan that she would find her blood here, and earlier, the woman said she looked a lot like her mother. Surely she didn't mean her stepmother Lyndon. The woman said her sister, Rowan's real mother, was the cruelest of all of them, a true witch. Rowan had magic in her blood, and she could use it for something good. How long had she denied that part of her? When she had cleaved the mountain in half, was that the witch's blood inside her? The woman, Rowan's aunt, she supposed, explains that every dreamer experiences the same thing. All these poor souls asleep, whatever they've lost is returned to them, and they feast in grand halls, celebrating victory with their loved ones. Wherever they wish to be, that is where they are, and where they will remain without worries or fear. Given the opportunity to spend eternity in a dream with her parents, could her cursed blood grant that to the entire realm? Though truly, people need more than dreams, don't they? Her aunt replies that some do, and they may stay awake, but others who seek escape find it in the Wicked Slumber. Their bodies serve at her will, but their minds are elsewhere, at peace. Rowan knew the slumber doesn't pick and choose who it takes. It wasn't going around asking people one by one. Her aunt assured her that she meant to keep the realm safe, and for that, she needed power to drive off threats. With power, she could command loyalty, endure any challenge, secure her own future. To seize power, you need courage and knowledge of your enemies. Rowan saw that. It was the reason no one respected her brother Will, and the same reason they feared her. People had respected her parents, who were fine warriors themselves, kind of heart, and earned their place. Will was kind of heart, but what had he accomplished? Before coming here, Rowan saw the slumber as a curse, but now she sees what a blessing it could be. While her subjects slumbered, she could see to their well-being, protect the people who had lost so much. With an army of sleepers by her side, they could unite the realm and turn the curse of the twins' birth into something truly beautiful. Rowan can fix it. She can bring her people peace, if only her aunt can help her planeswalk again. The figure named Ashiok speaks up now, informing her that the spark is gone. Not only for her, but for many others. Rowan's aunt offers to teach her the rest of the lessons. Every ruler needs an heir after all. She introduces herself as Arit and welcomes Rowan home, a place where she can finally be understood. Troyan the guide calls down to Ruby and Kellan, advising them not to look down. At first, he claimed to be an expert climber, but now admits that he had never climbed a beanstalk, not even once. Troyan certainly looked like a beanstalk climber, blue-skinned and dashing, clad in blue and green, some strange mythical creature with too many arms painted on his coat. He even carried a sign that read, "Professional Wanderer and Adventurer." That had been the whole reason Kellan and Ruby hired him. Troyan feels a very minuscule pang of guilt and sits down on a giant leaf to search inside his pack. He pulls out 2 glass vials of oily, slick liquid, the stopper covered in bulbous warts. Troyan had been saving these for a rough time, and though they were hard to come by, he could spare them for the price Kellan and Ruby were paying. 15 minutes of muscle-burning effort, and Kellan reaches the leaf Troyan is sitting on. Sometimes being a hero isn't all it's cracked up to be. Troyan tosses a vial to Kellan with the stopper unplugged. A drop landed on his nose. It smells like swamp water, but Kellan's throat buzzes, and he can't stop himself from drinking it in an instant. His tongue tingles and stretches, rolling out of his mouth like an unfurled banner. His skin is oozing and slick, and he feels a pent-up energy in his legs. Kellan opens his mouth, but all that comes out is a croak. Troyan assures him that it's only temporary, but now they could jump all the way up the beanstalk this way. When Ruby reaches the leaf, she looks skeptical, wondering if a witch had made this frogification potion, questioning if Troyan was one of the Fae. Ruby decides she's going to ride on Kellan's back instead of drinking the potion herself. If they were so hard to come by, they should probably save it for later. Kellan, farm boy from Oranshire, leaps into the sky. Swamp water bubbles on his feet, propelling them higher and higher. A moonlit castle awaits, Stromkeld, the home of giants. It's hard for Kellan to keep his mouth from hanging open, awestruck by its size. Giants are big, but until now he never knew how big. They could probably walk right beneath the front doors. Human visitors would be like mice to them. They had come at night, hoping to sneak in while everyone was asleep, but it takes them an hour's walk to clear the courtyard. The ground begins to quake, and Troyan explains that it's the giants dancing, which means they were, unfortunately, awake. If they're dancing, maybe they could still sneak in unnoticed. They walk through the gate, passing beneath a wooden ceiling and marble arches higher than any parapet. Boisterous music thums as the giants come into view, holding goblets like wells of wine. When the quake of their dancing feet come, Kellan hops along with them. He wonders if his father has wings, and if he'll have them when he's older. Not all giants are great dancers, so it's hard to predict where their next step would fall. More than once, Ruby pulls Kellan out of Doom's reach as they make their way across the dance floor. This was dangerous, but with music playing and laughter all around, it was fun too. They finally make it to a stair, but only Troyan is able to scale the slippery stone. He drops a rope for Kellan and Ruby, so they can haul themselves up. Not even sure if they'll find the mirror that they're looking for up here. Halfway up, they have the displeasure of running into a goose. Years on the farm had hardened Kellan against these blasted creatures. The only thing to rival geese were the local bullies. Kellan thought geese might actually be worse. This goose was the size of his family's market cart, with a garland of gold around its neck, waddling down the steps ahead of its owner. The owner must be the lady of the house, who doesn't notice them until her goose honks a warning. Kellan knew in his heart there was only one way to deal with this abomination: to run for their lives. Kellan and Ruby launched themselves down the stairs toward Troyan, avoiding the goose's snapping beak. Then, 2 fingers pinched the back of Kellan's cloak, lifting him high into the air. Kellan apologizes to the giant for intruding while the goose nips at his dangling feet. The giant demands to know who he is and why he's at her birthday party. Kellan attempts to strike a heroic pose against the force of her speech, explaining that he is on a quest. When he says he's come seeking a magic mirror, she cuts him off. Ruby shouts up through cupped hands that they mean no harm. They only want to ask the mirror a question. The giant declares that all small folk tell lies, and even birthday wishes cannot sway her opinion. They hear a deep sigh, then a voice calling for their unwilling host, apparently named Belluna. Belluna turns to see a man half her size, dressed in finery with a bushy green beard. She curtsies to her lord, Yorvo, almost dropping Kellan into the goose's waiting beak. As Yorvo stepped closer, Kellan was sure that he must be made of plants. Was this the Giant King? He was smaller than Belluna, but Then again, she seemed to respect him. Kellan didn't know the Giant King's name, only that he had disappeared during the Phyrexian invasion. Yorvo asks Kellan why he's here, and Kellan answers that he's on a quest from the Fey Lord, hoping the mention of Talion would smooth things over. He explains that they seek to defeat 2 witches and need to ask the mirror where to go. The Giant King nods, stroking his beard, and invites them to be his guests. He tells Baluna that there's no harm in showing them the mirror. The 3 of them were far too small to move it themselves. The king passes, giving them a wink and patting the goose on its head as he goes. Baluna groans, but gathers Ruby and Troyan into her hand with Kellan. Her gate is wide as they reach a bedroom in mere moments. She sits them down in front of the mirror, and when Kellan peers into it, he sees someone that was larger than the boy he had been just a few weeks ago. Though he was a little leaner from travel, he looked more heroic. He speaks up, asking the mirror where they can find the witch Hilda, but there's no answer. Baluna says that he must tell the mirror something it doesn't know. Troyan clears his throat and steps up to introduce himself to the mirror, revealing that he was not born on Eldraine. Winter's own breath fogs the surface. Beneath the condensation, there's a castle of ice atop a rocky cliff. Ruby knew the place, Loch Larent. Her brother used to take her fishing there, though there wasn't any ice before the war. How had they built a castle that big so fast? Kellan didn't know, but if she led the way, maybe they would find out. And there you guys have it, Chapter 3 of Wilds of Eldraine's story. Wow, this story really brought me back into focus. It's been fun with the whole budding hero story arc, but in this one, it really upped the stakes for all the characters, most especially for Rowan. I sort of made a jab about Rowan going insane at the start of the story, and someone in the comments said Rowan would be another Nahiri. I kinda scoffed it off at the time, but now I'm not too sure. We know Ashiok is doing a lot of manipulation here. Them working with the witch Arit is likely just fueling their nightmare magic by using the witch's Wicked Slumber spell. Though the Planeswalker claims they're a mentor, I believe the witch is merely a means to an end. Rowan's dream, her vision from the 2nd chapter, of her father, the late king, passing the crown down to her was planted by Ashiok and Arit. This has filled Rowan with the prophecy that isn't quite real, and pushing her down a path of war against her brother Will. Worse still, it appears Rowan has signed onto this idyllic sleeping paradise idea cooked up by Arit, that the sleepers are truly happy and that using their unconscious bodies as an unwilling army could be a power that unites the realm. For someone hoping to one day become a knight, I thought Rowan would understand that ethical issue with using sleep-cursed people as a tool to force peace, but I guess not, because she's totally in. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video, everyone. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider supporting us by leaving this video a like, sharing it with friends, dropping a super thanks, and becoming a subscriber. It all goes a long way in helping us grow the channel. And until next time, guys, see ya!